A team of researchers from the California Institute of Technology has made a shocking announcement. It turns out that the Earth was flat 4.5 billion years ago. The modern spherical form our planet has taken is relatively recent by cosmic standards. Dr. Simon Locke, with a group of astrophysicists, confirmed the main theory of the Moon's origin. Scientists suggest that the Earth collided with a hypothetical planet named Theia, a rocky body the size of Mars. As a result of the collision, both planets melted. There was a significant amount of matter in Earth's orbit. Because it was hot, it didn't form rings like Saturn's. Instead, it coalesced into a satellite, a very massive satellite that was about 30 times closer than it is now. Its gravity flattened the Earth during that period. The planet might well have looked like a giant flat disk. In addition, calculations show that under the influence of this new satellite, the Earth must have been spinning much faster. The day back then lasted only 2.5 hours. Later, the Moon moved away from the Earth, and the situation stabilized. The planet took on the shapes we're used to. This theory has just received new mathematical confirmation. However, there is a problem. When the Americans traveled to the Moon and brought back lunar soil, its analysis shattered this then still nascent theory into dust. If Theia hit the Earth and then formed the Moon, then the Moon must be made of the same material as Theia. But the instruments showed that the Moon is composed of the same material as the Earth. So where's Theia? Or is there something wrong with the lunar samples? There are several possibilities. Either the samples were lost and substituted, or Theia was a twin sister of the Earth, having a similar composition, and was in a neighboring orbit. Regardless, it appears we're closer to an answer today than ever before. Recently, a study of the lunar surface and its interior using penetrating radar began. The device looked 40 meters deep, and it became clear that inside the Moon are rocks mixed with soil. As scientists believe, these stones appeared there as a result of the fall of a large body about 3.2 billion years ago. Additionally, astrophysicists managed to find what they've been looking for decades. After studying the samples from the depth, it was discovered that the subsurface soil has nothing in common with terrestrial soil, which means that these are fragments of the very Theia. So, the theory was confirmed. Part of this celestial body is indeed deep inside the Moon, covered with Earth dust from above. But now, the Chinese are planning to send a much more powerful radar to the Moon, which will allow us to look even deeper. What else might we find there? Primarily, we aim to unravel the mystery of the Moon's density. What's inside? Researchers have come up with the most incredible hypotheses. Mines of ancient Earth civilizations. Abandoned alien bases. Fragments of the planet Theia, which was actually a space station with compartments. It all stirs the imagination. In addition, new laboratory research has revealed that lunar soil is not just dust and rocks, but potentially a valuable substance for mankind. Until recently, scientists believed that the only use for regolith was to extract helium-3 gas from it, an excellent fuel for nuclear reactors. There's enough lunar helium-3 to last humanity for 5,000 years. But that might not be all. A group of chemists from Cambridge, led by Derek Frey, have developed a device that can extract oxygen from lunar soil. If such regolith-to-oxygen converters were installed all over the Moon, colonists from Earth would have breathable air. This idea is incredibly promising, because Earthlings need bases on the Moon. But what if we weren't the first to think of mining this satellite? So far, science has not deciphered the so-called transient lunar phenomena, mysterious flashes, and flying lights. NASA's Artemis program plans to return American astronauts to the Moon by 2024, and to put the first woman on its surface. That sounds very optimistic. The Artemis program is our lunar exploration program. We aim to land at the south pole of the Moon by 2020. China is also planning similar missions to the Moon. The Middle Kingdom has already achieved some success in this field. First, the Chang'e probe landed on the far side of the Moon, and now the Chinese lunar rover Yutu-2 traverses these hidden spaces, transmitting new data back to Earth. There have been many breakthrough inventions for the Moon recently. It may be a lot easier to live there than previously thought. Japanese engineers have begun testing their own Hakuto moonwalker. This model recently landed on the Moon, though not very successfully. Compared to the first Soviet lunar cod, it looks like a child's toy. But it is quite a serious machine. It was set to conduct a video broadcast with a 360-degree view with high resolution. The main job here is to test the camera and sensors. Another latest development was demonstrated by Spanish scientists from the National Institute of Aerospace Technology. This device is similar to the Japanese moon rover, but its tasks are completely different. This device was created to help astronauts during walks on the Moon or Mars. The developers presented their work in sandy terrain. The astronaut can guide the robot to places it can reach on its own, for safety reasons. This is one of the main challenges for our project. Another important part of the development is ensuring robust human-robot communication. The astronaut uses gesture control. For example, he can command the robot to move in one direction or another by simply extending his arm or retracting it. That leaves the astronaut free to accomplish other tasks. The ultimate goal of all this work by tens of thousands of people around the world can only be one thing: to create a permanently operating lunar base. That is, in fact, the colonization of the satellite. And so far this is the most realistic of all space prospects for humanity in the coming decades. But the more we explore the Moon, the more mysteries arise. It may well be that our bases will not be the first there. The Moon is one of the most observable objects in space due to its proximity to Earth. And yet, it is not better studied than distant Mars or Jupiter. Meanwhile, there's something strange going on there all the time. Today, there's a large group of moon hunters. They keep a constant watch over the Earth's satellite, take photos and videos, note everything unusual, and especially watch lunar eclipses. Last December's eclipse was a real hit. In all its glory, it could only be seen in the Eastern Hemisphere, in Southeast Asia, Indonesia, and Malaysia, as well as in the Philippines or the Orient. For example, in the United Arab Emirates, it was the longest total lunar eclipse of the 21st century. This type of eclipse is called a ring of fire because the lunar disk completely overlaps the solar disk. However, hunters are interested in all eclipses because they show us the Moon in a completely different light. The Moon over the Temple of Poseidon looks just extraordinary, especially since a total lunar eclipse can create a blood moon effect. It makes a particularly strong impression. Such spectacular images are not often seen. The Moon quickly transitions from bright white to blood red colors. And this is the supermoon on April 7th. This is the name given to the phenomenon when the full moon coincides with the moment of the greatest convergence between the moon and the Earth. A huge, beautiful moon could be seen in most of Europe. But researchers love all these phenomena not at all for their spectacle. The well-lit surface of the moon allows us to observe strange activity. While the world was admiring the stunning beauty of lunar phenomena, in the depths of NASA, another grandiose project was brewing. Also announced in early April were plans to build the world's largest radio telescope on the dark side of the moon. This involves selecting a suitable crater with a diameter of 1 kilometer. Robotic moon rovers will deploy a giant antenna in it and install the necessary equipment. This one, twice the size of Earth's existing radio telescopes, will be shielded from radio noise and interference, greatly improving its accuracy. Astronomers say it will be an ideal tool for obtaining information not yet available, including the search for extraterrestrial civilizations. And the search for extraterrestrial life is another topic that has been an ongoing concern for scientists. Researchers are convinced that if life is out there, it's very far away. In the solar system, it is widely believed not to exist. In fact, astronomers believe they have studied it well. So there can't be life. But it turns out it's not that simple. And there's still a lot we don't even know about what's happening right under our noses. Quite unexpectedly, a group of scientists from the United States put forward a theory about the presence of life on Mercury. They published their study in the journal Scientific Reports. According to Jeffrey Cargill, Mercury may well be suitable for life, but not on the surface, which is really heated during the day to 426 degrees Celsius, but under the ground, where there may well be favorable conditions for biological life. And all of this may be true. Because of its proximity to the Sun, Mercury used to be poorly studied. However, just recently astrophysicists have obtained evidence that there is frozen water in the craters of this planet. The ice shell of the planet is about 4,000 square kilometers. In addition, scientists are sure that the area underground around the crater is also full of ice. Even deeper, water may also be in a liquid state. There may also be water on other objects in the solar system, even ones we never knew about before. Last year, Saturn unexpectedly became the solar system's record holder for the number of satellites. A team of astronomers discovered 20 of its new satellites using the Subaru ground-based telescope at the Mauna Kea Observatory in Hawaii. Saturn now officially has 82 of them, even more than Jupiter. According to the project leader, Saturn probably has many more satellites that we don't realize. Astronomers need more powerful telescopes to detect the smaller satellites, which are a few kilometers in diameter. Could life exist on these objects? Quite possibly. But research needs to be done. The Cassini probe, for example, became famous for finding molecular hydrogen and carbon dioxide in emissions from the interior of Saturn's satellite Enceladus, indicating that there are probably habitable conditions there. Although the first object in the solar system on which it is possible to find life, scientists still consider Europa a satellite of Jupiter. In addition, active volcanic activity has been recorded on Europa. From the surface of the satellite, geysers of water are spewing out into space. Which means that down below, beneath the ice crust, water exists in liquid form. Konstantin Batygin, a professor at the California Institute of Technology, went even further. A few years ago, he said that there is likely another full-fledged planet in the solar system, the ninth one. And the results of the research were published in the scientific publication The Astronomical Journal.
We believe that the ninth planet formed in roughly the same region as the other giant planets in the solar system, somewhere in the neighborhood of present-day Saturn. However, when it was young, the solar system was a very dynamic and chaotic place. So we think that this planet got too close to Saturn, Uranus, or Jupiter, and then it was thrown into that distant orbit by gravity and stabilized there, apparently under the influence of passing stars, which happened often in the early days of our solar system.
The mass of the new planet should be 5 times the mass of Earth. The estimated period of rotation of the planet is 15,000 Earth years. That's why existing telescopes can't see it yet. The gravitational trace of this potential planet was picked up some time ago by the Cassini probe. Full analysis of the data will take about 2 years, and by this time, a new wide-angle survey telescope should be operational in Chile. Scientists predict that it will be able to detect this planet. Astronomers have already called it a mini-Neptune. Finding it is the most challenging astronomical task because even Saturn itself in an average telescope from Earth looks like this. Scientists suggest that the existence of mini-Neptune threatens the entire solar system. As it approaches the giant planets, astrophysicists say it could easily disturb them. Astronomer Jessica Lee believes that the gravitational disturbances recorded by the Cassini probe may not be caused by a single ninth planet, but by an entire system with its own small dim dwarf star at its core. That's exactly right. It too orbits the Sun in a highly elongated orbit. This statement is based on the observations of ancient Chinese astronomers and the shocking hypothesis of planets turning into stars. If the Earth, due to catastrophic processes, shed its outer shell, for example by colliding with another planet like Theia, the inner core may well start to glow. After all, it harbors thermonuclear reactions like the Sun. The Moon would automatically become a small planet. And Jessica is convinced that this has happened before. Ancient records clearly show that a star was moving across the sky. What's more, beings came down from it. Archaeologists find similar rock paintings in the USA, Australia, and Argentina. On them, we can clearly see 2 suns. Psychologists assert that primitive people could not invent something that was not really there. And they certainly wouldn't have gone to the trouble to immortalize fantasies. Which means that perhaps 2 suns and 2 stars have already shone in our sky. And therefore, it could happen again after a certain amount of time. Meanwhile, astronomers reported another interesting news. More than 100 new planets have been discovered in the solar system. But how can that be? The reputable scientific publication Science Alert reported that at least 100 small planets have been discovered in the solar system. Scientists started collecting data about them back in August 2013 in the sky above the Earth's southern hemisphere. They tracked the sources of red radiation, analyzed galactic clusters, and supernovae. More than 7 billion points were analyzed. Objects that were not moving in outer space were immediately discarded. They definitely can't be minor planets. Upon further analysis, astronomers identified 316 minor planets, among which 139 were previously unknown. In addition, scientists from the American Aerospace Agency NASA have discovered that our Sun may continue to give birth to planets. This fascinating process was noticed by space researchers back in 2012. However, the nature of the mysterious clots near the luminary was not understood at the time. By the way, something is constantly flying through the Sun. Or rather, in front of it. Just on its backdrop, any foreign objects are clearly visible, and they have been appearing a lot recently. Some of them, researchers believe, could well be artificial. The attention of astronomers was particularly drawn to the recordings of the Sun from the SOHO satellite. Look, the huge spherical object suddenly flew into the camera lens, partially obscuring the star. However, it suddenly changed trajectory and flew out of view. This proves that it couldn't have been Venus or another planet flying in a predictable orbit. There are no official explanations yet. In the same observatory SOHO, on March 20th, an unusual explosion was recorded on the backside of the Sun. That is, some debris was clearly flying away from the eastern part of the Sun. Whether this was a natural physical process or a manifestation of extraterrestrial intelligence is still only conjecture. Meanwhile, the catalogue of potentially habitable exoplanets is constantly being replenished. Not so long ago, 7 more objects were added to it. And just now, a prime candidate for the title of New Earth has appeared. 110 light-years away, in the constellation Leo, scientists from the United States have discovered the planet K218b, with a temperature almost identical to Earth. The surface temperature ranges from -73 to +48 degrees Celsius. The discovered planet revolves around a red dwarf, which is much smaller than our Sun. 1 year on the planet lasts only 33 days. The planet K218b is twice the size of Earth. Its surface is covered with rocks. The atmosphere, however, is different from Earth's. But most importantly, for the first time, scientists have detected evidence of water vapor. Perhaps there is water on this planet. Researchers believe that their discovery is the biggest step in the search for life on other planets. And perhaps they will be able to prove that humanity is not alone in the universe. Although, if there is life out there, it may have evolved differently. Not the way it did on Earth. University of London team leader Angelos Serras said that conditions there, compared to those on Earth, are certainly different. But it's already possible to live there. Next year, NASA plans to launch new, ultra-powerful telescopes into Earth orbit. They, according to scientists, will allow the discovery of hundreds of new exoplanets and refine the data on those already catalogued. Meanwhile, astrophysicists are constantly making new discoveries that challenge established ideas about the structure of the universe. They never tire of proving to us that we know very little about the world around us. Take a look at this. The United States National Science Foundation recently unveiled the first ever photograph of a black hole. Or rather, its accretion disk, burning plasma, and the radiative disturbances that occur around black holes. This is the photograph. It proves that black holes actually exist. Many physicists have questioned the very existence of these regions of space and time with enormous gravity. But as you can see, they do exist. And indeed, nothing can escape them. Not even light.
101 years ago, a streak of light was discovered emerging from the center of the Milky Way. This is plasma from a supermassive black hole. I never believed this black hole was as big as people said it was, until we saw it. This is the core of the M87 galaxy.
But since they actually exist, That means there's a warp of space and time within them. And as astrophysicists say, perhaps this is actually a bridge between our universe and some other unknown universe. Except we can't test it and walk across it yet. A team of international scientists led by researcher Lu Jifeng and researcher Zhang Haotong has also discovered a giant black hole in the Milky Way. Its size is twice as big as what was previously generally thought possible. The announcement was made during a press conference at the National Astronomical Observatory of China in Beijing. We have found the most massive black holes ever discovered to date. The mass of this black hole far exceeds the upper mass limit predicted by theory. This undermines people's understanding of the theory of black hole formation. This discovery shows that any modern theories can be wrong. How such a giant black hole could have formed, scientists don't understand. Nor do they have any idea what might be inside it. Scientists do not even have a theoretical model that would describe what could happen to matter inside such a black hole. But they have recently discovered the merger of two black holes. Not long ago, for the first time in history, gravitational waves were recorded from this phenomenon. It's a truly incredible sight. Against this background, diamond planets and metal rains look like quite ordinary things. Meanwhile, it's all true. In the publication Nature, sensational material was published about the discovery of the floating planet WASP 76b in the constellation of Pisces. It's a hell of a place. It's very hot during the day. About 2,400 degrees Celsius. That's enough to vaporize metals. The wind carries the iron particles to the dark side. There, the temperature is about 1,000 degrees cooler. As a result, the vapor condenses and falls to the surface as iron showers. David Reich, a professor at the University of Geneva, believes that rainy evenings are as real on this planet as they are on Earth. Only it's not water pouring down, but streams of red-hot metal. Astronomers have discovered the strangest exoplanet in the constellation of the Serpent. Its diameter is only a few times larger than Earth's, but its mass is equal to that of Jupiter. Calculations show that its density is twice the density of lead. Analysis of the data suggests that this entire planet is one big diamond. How this giant cosmic crystal was formed is, of course, unclear. Scientists speculate that it is the remains of a star that was composed of large amounts of carbon and oxygen. Strange things happen not only in the depths of space, but also near Earth. Here is an unusual round object that was seen on February 2029 in Lombardy. Against the backdrop of the evening sky, a mysterious dark disk clearly stood out. Also in February, a similar formation was seen in the sky above Mexico. Only this time, it looked like a disk hovering horizontally above the ground. Look up at the sky more often, during the day and especially at night. Some really interesting things can happen there. On February 2022, a bright luminous object was seen in the skies of Chile. Eyewitnesses claimed it looked like a stark hole in the sky. Approximately the same object was seen in the sky over the United States. The observations, which were made with NASA's dual-orbiting stereo telescope, were no less strange. These clips appeared on the internet on March 2013. In the field of view of astronomers, some kind of very large object was captured. Scientists believe it could be of artificial origin, but what it is, they have no idea. none of the scientists have seen anything like it so far. As the experts say, if it was a shooting defect or just an artifact on the lens, it would be in one frame, or in all the frames, but in one place. Here, however, as you can see, the object is moving and changing size. Moreover, the satellites 3 times registered something very similar to the entrance of something significant into the solar system. Against the backdrop of everything that is happening now on Earth, it looks, let's say, quite ominous. In the meantime, NASA has announced that it intends to practice skills in case of global planetary threats. On the agency's website, there is an announcement of the mission DART, or Double Asteroid Redirection Test. NASA plans to deflect an Earth-bound asteroid off course. It's not threatening us in any way, so it's been chosen as the target. Its size is perfect for practicing aiming at other targets that may come within unacceptable distances of our planet in the future.